Hello once again, fellow flight simmers and virtual pilots. I'm back again making a short video. Yeah, I know you guys are laughing already because I always say I'm gonna try to make a short video and I never do. But this time I think I can promise you it's gonna be a short video. So as many of you know, because of my previous videos, I've been playing a lot with Forkboy Ortho. And in doing that, I started thinking about how long it takes to load Xplane because I've noticed that sometimes it takes a very long time, and sometimes it was what it seemed to be pretty quick. So I did a little bit of testing and took some numbers down, and I loaded and reloaded Xplane many times using these different configurations, and I think it's pretty interesting what I found out. So as you guys know, when you load using Vulkan Xplane 1150 beta, you've probably seen this message here at the bottom that says that shaders are compiled while the scenery is loading, and that if you change or update Xplane, your hardware settings or drivers, it might take longer to load. And that's exactly what I found out. But not only when you update Xplane, like let's say you already have the latest Xplane 1150 beta, and you don't change anything, but let's say you add an airport, it will also take a long time to load the very first time you load that airport. Or if you even when I update the Zibo, if I just change the name of the folder, for example, if I have 341-1 and then I update it to 341-2 and I rename the folder inside the aircraft folder, I also found that it takes a long time to load again. But that's only the very first time. So before I forget, and because I always get asked, these are the specs of my computer that I'm using right now. So it's a Core i7 8700K. I'm running it overclocked at 5 gigahertz, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, running at 3400 megahertz, and I have a EVGA GTX 1080 Ti with 11 gigs of video RAM, like all the TIs have. And for the storage, I have an Nvme SSD for Windows and Xplane, and I have a couple of 2 terabyte QVO Samsung 960 drives, SATA SSDs. Those are for the Orbx True Earth scenery and also for the Forkboy Ortho, and my aircraft folder is also on there. And then I have my Western Digital 2 terabyte hard drive that I've had for many years, through many computers, where I have all my pictures and videos and all my personal stuff. So these are the settings that I use for all the testing. The same ones that I've been using lately, for all my flights and recordings that I've done. So I never set the visual effects and the texture quality. I never set it to high, past high. I mean, and the anti-aliasing for the majority of these tests, I had it at 8 times SSAA plus FXAA, which is the highest. I've always had draw shadows on scenery off. I've always had the number of world objects on high, or maximum, I'm sorry, and no reflections at all. I have them on minimum, and I do draw parked aircraft, and of course I am using the Vulkan driver. So with that being said, here's the results that I got. So I was running 1150 beta 6 during all these tests, and so I loaded up at LAX, the stock LAX, with all the settings that I mentioned before here. Now the first time I loaded, um, the main menu where you select your flight, it took about 50 seconds regardless of whether I had the stock scenery, the Forkboy, or the True Earth Orbx. It took exactly the same amount of time. But after you have loaded a flight, the initial time after you made a change, like I said before, then the next ones only took 20 seconds to get to the menu screen. And there was a few times when I think because I was getting the prompt to update to beta 9, I had to click off of that, so I think that added a couple of seconds, and I've noticed that on sometimes it would even take like 14 seconds to get to the flight selection screen. Alright, so once I selected the flight, which was at LAX, and I was doing the Zibo 737, I believe at that time it was the 3.41 version. So with stock Xplane, the first time I loaded it, it took 1 minute and 18 seconds to load the entire flight. And then with Forkboy Ortho, it took 2 minutes and 34 seconds the first time. And with Orbx, it took an astonishing 4 minutes and 12 seconds the first time. So it took basically 3 minutes longer with Orbx than it did with stock Xplane, and about twice as much with Forkboy Ortho. But that was on the first load. On next loads, like after I had already loaded the first flight and I closed it and then restarted it back up and selected another load, it took only 3 seconds less for stock Xplane scenery. So 1 minute and 15 seconds to load the flight, and it took 1 minute and 34 seconds to load with a Forkboy Ortho, which is not bad. It's only 15 seconds, 20 seconds longer. And with Orbx True Earth, it took 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so about a minute longer than the other two, or a minute longer than stock. So that's not bad, after you did the initial loading. So then after I did all these tests, I added the Mr. X6 Short Final Designs LAX HD to the stock Xplane scenery, and it increased the first load time to 2 minutes and 52 seconds, and it increased the initial load time for the first time to 2 minutes and 52 seconds, and then after that it was 1 minute and 22 seconds. So you can see that it took almost a minute and 30 seconds longer the first time it loaded, but then after that it only took about 7 seconds longer with a Mr. X6 LAX HD compared to the stock LAX. So it's not very bad, but I kind of found it interesting, when I was coming across all these loadings and everything. And there was a time when I was starting to wonder why it seemed like my Xplane was taking extremely long to load, even though I have all these SSDs and I have what I believe is a pretty good computer now. But yeah, Vulkan sure made a difference, but obviously it's well worth it because, when you're actually flying, you're getting better frame rates and it's actually flying a lot smoother. So yeah, so that's all I got for this one. I got some other videos in the works already that I'm working on finishing editing and posting, so hopefully I'll put those up pretty soon. Alright, well thanks for watching. I told you it would be a short one.